with introducing the OpenNebula apps. Let's see if I can share the screen. Okay. Can everybody hear me? And can everybody see my screen? If not, please raise your hand. Okay, so in today's webinar, we're going to see the OpenNebula Apps Suite. We'll start with a brief introduction in the OpenNebula's apps overview and also the components that create the suite. And after this brief introduction, we'll move to a live demo where I'll show how you access and how you manage your cloud applications using these new OpenNebula apps. Okay. Okay, so everyone is fine. Perfect. Let's start then. Okay, so what is this OpenNebula apps about? Okay, so OpenNebula apps is about cloud application managing. It is basically a suite of tools, three tools: the Upstage, Upflow, and Upmarket, which basically try to fill the gap between the service and the virtual infrastructure layer. What does it mean? Well, OpenNebula, if you're familiar with it, it's basically an infrastructure as a service manager, right? So it allows you to manage your physical resources and the virtual resources running on top. But for OpenNebula, a VM is pretty much a black box. It doesn't concern itself with what's happening inside the virtual machines, right? So it only concerns itself with small aspects like passing information to the virtual machine and obviously controlling its life cycle, but it's not in the realm of OpenNebula to see what's happening inside the virtual machines and to install new software in the virtual machine or control the deployment order of the virtual machines if that's needed. So that's why C12E has just released the technology preview of the OpenNebula apps that is intended for users and administrators of OpenNebula that wants a management layer on top of OpenNebula to be able to manage applications. So everybody knows that a VM is not per se a black box, but software is running inside, and probably you want to deploy a service on your infrastructure, meaning an interconnected group of virtual machines that offer a service, a multi-tier service with different components. So think about a web server with a front end that it's load balancing the requests between different slave nodes. Well, the ability to manage those in one single entity, saying I want to deploy the whole service or shut it down or stop it. The ability to do that is provided by the new Upflow OpenNebula app. Okay, so it basically provides a service management layer on top of OpenNebula that allows you to do several things. First of it, it's configuring the software stack in the applications. This means controlling and being able to define which software is installed in your virtual machines once they are put through OpenNebula. It also allows you, this OpenNebula apps layer, allows you to manage multi-tiered applications. What does it mean? It means a set of interconnected virtual machines that act as a service. So it allows you to manage those as a single entity. And it also, this OpenNebula apps allows you to build a private market to distribute applications across several OpenNebula instances. So I don't know if you're familiar with the C12G marketplace for OpenNebula. It basically appears you in a tab in Sandstone, allowing you to download, to import to your cloud, to your physical and virtual infrastructure, appliances. Applications are uploaded by other people, even third-party people, like the case of Research Motion that uploaded their own service manager called Karina to the marketplace. So everyone that wants to try it out and has a working OpenNebula installation can do so with a few clicks, few mouse clicks on the Sandstone marketplace tab will allow you to tell OpenNebula to automatically download the appliance and basically being able to run the VM in your local infrastructure with zero configuration or near zero configuration. Okay, so let's see these tools in a bit more of detail. So OpenNebulaApps is composed by Upflow, which basically enables the automatic execution of multi-tiered applications composed of interconnected VMs, managing them, and this is the important bit, as a single entity. Okay, so you'll be able with this OpenNebula apps to manage a set of VMs like one service, like just one entity. Okay, so also another component of the OpenNebula apps is the Upstage, which performs the automatic installation and configuration of the software stack that constitutes an application environment. Okay, so C12G defines an environment like composed of four things. So you have basically an image, which contains the file system of the virtual machine you want to boot. It also includes contextualization packages that it's included in this OpenNebula app suite, which basically enables this image to be booted and to be configured with Upstage using, in this case, chef recipes. It's also the chef software and the chef recipes needed, and also the node definition. So which one of these recipes I want actually to install. Okay, so these four things, the image, the contextualization package, the chef software, and the definition of the node role is what we call an environment. Okay, so this allows basically to take an image that is pre-configured with Chef, that's the requirement, and this contextualization package. So Upstage allows you to pick one of these images and with a simple node definition script or JSON definition, which is basically what it is, it allows you to define what software I want to install using chef recipes. We'll see an example in a few moments. Okay, and then we have the app market. So the app market is nothing else than an in-house installation of the OpenNebula marketplace. So it basically builds, as it says here, a centralized catalog of cloud applications to share and distribute virtual appliances across different OpenNebula instances. So it gives you the ability to build a private market for your enterprise where you can upload different appliances and make them available to all the OpenNebula instances inside of your enterprise. Okay, so So Valentin is asking me, why did you use Chef? It's a very good question. There's others like he comment like Puppet or CF Engine, and that's true. But please take into account that this is a technology preview, so we had to start from somewhere, and we thought Chef Solo, but that's what's installed inside the Upstage images. It would be a very good starting point, but it's definitely in our short to mid-term roadmap to include support for other automation tools like Puppet or CF Engine. Okay, so no particular reason. We don't think, or personally, I don't think that Chef is superior to others like Puppet, but we plan to support as much as we can, but we just had to start with one. Okay, so moving on. This is a bit of the architecture of the OpenNebula apps. So you can see here that the building block is still OpenNebula. It's the one that is gonna carry all the low-level operations with the virtual machines, and through the OCA interface, which is basically the OpenNebula Cloud API, the applications like Upflow and Upstage can carry out their duties. We have also the app market, which is the integration is not done through the OpenNebula Cloud API, but rather through the interconnection with the transfer manager driver. So this is basically a low-level integration between OpenNebula and the OpenNebula app market. Here is a more high-level interaction through the OpenNebula Cloud API, which is basically what the Upstage and Upflow applications needed to do. Okay, so if there's no more questions on architecture, let's start with the demo. Okay, so I have here a running instance of Sandstorm with a configured OpenNebula. So let's start by logging in. Okay, so let me walk you through the already defined infrastructure that we're going to use for this demo. Okay, we have a set of physical resources that are grouped in 4 different categories. Let's start with the low-level ones, which are the hosts. So we see here that we have a couple of hosts. One is a KVM virtualization node. We can see here that the drivers for the hosts are KVM based, and also that the reported hypervisor it's KVM. So this is a KVM node basically. And we have another one based on VMware ESX. So we see here that the reported hypervisor is VMware. So we need VMware prepared images to run in this particular host. Okay, we we have a different set of data stores for each of the virtualization nodes. Why is this? This is because we have configured the data stores for VMware using VMFS. This is special file system format by VMware that is not compatible with Linux operating systems, meaning that Linux operating system doesn't have drivers to access them. That's why we have to prepare 2 sets of data stores. One for the KVM hosts, which are basically the default one, and also the system 0, plus 2 other data stores, one of them the system data store, and one of them the image data store for VMware, which are basically both of them based in VMFS. Okay, then we have prepared a cluster for VMware grouping the hosts we have for ESX. So ESX is included in the VMware cluster, and also the system and images data store for VMware is also included in the VMware cluster. This is a logical way to group hosts to assign them data stores and also virtual networks in a more straightforward way. Okay, so we have our physical infrastructure configured. Okay, so what else do we need? We need some images for creating virtual machines running on top of this physical infrastructure. So we have here three entities. First, the low-level ones are the images. So we see here that we have three images. Two of them, they are prepared for KVM, which is basically a TTY Linux KVM, and also an Ubuntu that's tailored for KVM, although I didn't quite explain that in the description, but I remembered. So these two are KVM, and this one is for VMware. Okay, so to launch virtual machines with these images, we need to create a template, a virtual machine template. So again, we have three templates. There's two of them for KVM. We see here that this image has been contextualized for Upstage, meaning that it has the chef recipes, the chef solo software, and also the contextualization package for the Upstage. And also we have two TTY Linux templates. One of them designed to work with VMware because it uses the VMware image over here, and also the KVM one. We can see here in the template how we are using the TTY Linux VMware image, so everything falls nicely into place. We can also note that I add a requirement to the VMware template to ensure that it only ends in a host that has a VMware hypervisor. This is important to let the scheduler do its thing without failing, because otherwise it can try to send this to a KVM machine, and that will be a disaster. Okay, so we have these three templates, and we can start now to, for instance, do an environment. Let's create an environment with Upstage. Well, I can show you the dashboards of the three components maybe. So here in Upstage, you can basically see a brief description, link to create a new environment, and also a link to the Upstage documentation. Let's open this because we'll need it in a while. Okay. So the link is wrong. Sorry about that. Okay. This should be fixed. Okay. Also, there's a dashboard for the Upflow, which basically gives you a dashboard as a summary of the templates and services you have defined or running. In this case, is 0. And also the market. So in the market, you will see the appliances for the appliances that you have registered in your private market. So you can see here, these are the three new tabs that the installation of the OpenNebulaApps will provide for you. But we also have the Marketplace tab, which basically goes to the OpenNebula Marketplace. We can see here different options depending on the virtualization platform you want to use. And with just a single click, you can create an image with this file that will be downloaded from the OpenNebula Marketplace. Okay, just for fun, let's create one. Okay, it should appear here. Okay, it's in locked state because it's being downloaded from the marketplace. So the app marketplace will provide you this same functionality, but in a private manner. So you will be the one that controls the appliances that are uploaded there, and you can basically distribute appliances across different OpenNebula instances. Okay, let's start with creating an environment for an Upstage. So let's say you want to create a WordPress, okay? And what you have basically is an image with Ubuntu, the one that we're seeing here. You have an Ubuntu image that is vanilla with just the Chef Solo software pre-installed. You can distribute that through the app market, for instance, or in your data store catalog. There's some other choices. Oh, sorry, you're having trouble hearing me. I'll try to speak louder. Okay, so let's say you want to create a WordPress and you have an Ubuntu vanilla image with nothing installed aside from the chef recipes and the contextualization package. Okay, so you go to the Upstage environments and you say you want to create a new environment. So go to new and we'll see this form here asking us for a name. Okay, I want to create a WordPress, so let's say WordPress, my WordPress. Okay, so it's WordPress for my blog, and I want to use the Ubuntu contextualized for Upstage. Okay, this cookbook's URL is a URL for the contextualization package that is inside the image, be able to download new recipes from a given site. We are going to use a standard WordPress definition for this demo, so we are not going to need any extra. Okay, sorry, that's one of the listeners that are having trouble hearing me. Does everybody else have troubles to hear me, or is just the one? Okay, so I'm being told that okay, everyone can hear me fine. So Upendra, it's maybe an issue with your speakers or headphones. Okay, okay, so I'll carry on. Okay, we're in the process of creating an environment, and we need the definition of the node, meaning what software do I want to install here. Okay, so this is very long to type and I don't know it by heart, so let's get an example from the documentation. So this is the documentation for the OpenNebula apps. We'll go straight to the Upstage documentation. Here you can see instructions for installation and configuration, and we are in the using phase in this demo. So we want a role definition file. We're going to use this example. So basically here I'm saying that I'm going to install a recipe called WordPress, which is basically a MySQL server and a WordPress. The WordPress is going to have these parameters. So basically the database name, the username, and the password for the database to be used by the WordPress. And then we have MySQL, which has as a parameter the server root password. Okay, so we copy this JSON definition, we paste it in our node definition, and we are good to go. So basically, let's create this. All right, so we have an environment definition. Here we can see the information that's gathered in the template, and here's some more detailed information on the recipe. Basically, here I can choose the template. I just choose one, but as the same environment can be applied to different templates if they are all contextualized. So no problem there. Here I just have the choice of the template that I signed up for. So let's choose the Ubuntu one. And these are the default values for the WordPress and the MySQL installation. So I can basically change this at will. And it should be configured, the virtual machine, with the values that I set here. Okay, so let's instantiate this this environment. Sorry, there's a couple of questions. We don't provide a JSON API. Sorry, yes, we provide a REST API aside from the WebGI. So we provide a command line tools. Sorry, I'm asking the Nikolai's question about, do you have a JSON API in addition to WebGI? Yes, there's a REST API and there's also a set of command line tools to be able to interact with the Upstage service. Okay, and there's another question by Doug saying, does Upstage have the ability to configure virtual load balancer or NDM firewalls? Well, the answer to this at the moment is no, it won't do the elasticity or load balancing for you. But in conjunction with the Upflow, you can do interesting stuff, but you need some extra components. I mean, the service manager, the one that will poll the service for elasticity, is not developed by C12E right now. It will be, but it's not available now. Okay, so don't remember if I instantiate this or not. Let's see. No, probably not. So let's instantiate it. Okay, so we should hit a virtual machine here, okay, which is in the pending state, meaning that the scheduler is still looking for a host to deploy it to. And basically here we have a virtual machine that will be launched, and it will be provided information to install MySQL and a WordPress on top of that. Okay, so we can see here different aspects of the virtual machine. We can modify this by adding a new disk through hot plugging, or save the disk if we forget to put it on persistent mode and we want to save the changes. We can see the template of the virtual machine. So we have here a virtual machine with two network interfaces, one of them in the public net with a public IP address that we'll then use to access the WordPress and see if everything worked as expected. Okay, so we see that the machine changes the status. Now it's in product, so it's copying the image to the CentOS KVM1 host. This problem can take a while because this host is configured with an SSH data store, meaning that the image has to be staged in through a secure copy. So it's gonna take a minute or two, maybe. We can see here the log also. Oh, nothing much happened. It's in the product state. History information saying, okay, this virtual machine is going to be run in CentOS KVM1, and some graphical monitoring information. The machine is still not up and running, so there's nothing showing here. Okay, so while this is booting, let's take a look to the Upflow. Okay, so Upflow basically, as we said before, allows you to manage a service as a single entity, right? So this service might potentially be formed by a set of interconnected virtual machines, which basically define that service. So let's say for this demo, we're going to create a service. It's basically a web server, right? With a front end, a master front end acting as a load balancer. So basically, being the one that distributes the requests between a number of slave nodes. So this service has two defined roles, right? It has the master role, which is basically the front end that is going to distribute, spread the request among the slaves. And we also have the slave roles, which are basically the working nodes that are going to process these requests and give back the information. Okay, so how do we go to define a service such like this? First, we see that we have two subtabs here, one with templates and the one with services. So templates is basically the definition of the service, and services is the instantiation of the service. So let's start by defining a new template for a service. Okay, so let's call this, for instance, my web server, right? So let's create a couple of roles as we talked before. Let's create the master web server role. Cardinality means the number of instances of this role that must be launched. So we just want one front end. So let's keep the one here, and we have to choose a template. So in this case, I have here my master web server template, which is a TTY Linux that it's going to run in VMware. Okay, so I'm going to add this role. So I have here my master web server role with one cardinality based on template number 9, which is basically the TTY Linux prepared for VMware with no parents. You'll see this, and the option to delete it. Okay, we don't want to delete it now. We want to create another one. So second one is going to be the slave web server role. We want to launch, say, 2 of these, right? So we want this master web server to be able to distribute the requests among 2 slaves. And we're going to pick the slave web server template, which is basically a TTY Linux prepared for KVM. Okay, and we'll say, okay, I want the parent role of these slave web servers to be master server. What does it mean? Well, it means that OpenNebula is going to wait until the master web server, well, not OpenNebula, but rather the Upflow server is going to wait for this master web server to be deployed by OpenNebula, meaning up and running, to launch the slave web servers. So until this master web server is not up and running, the two slave web servers won't be launched because they have as parent the master web server. Okay, so let's create this service template. Okay, I have here information about my service template. Let's launch it now. Okay, so it's being instantiated. Maybe I need to refresh here, and this is my instantiated service. I have some information here, information about the roles, and these are the virtual machines that are currently running. So we see here that we have the master web server in the pending state and no more machines, because until this is in running, we are not going to have the slave machines launched. Okay, so if we go to the virtual machine view, we see that the master web server is booting now, and we can take a look at our Upstage contextualized Ubuntu for WordPress. So if I click in my VNC, I can see that it looks that the prompt is correct, and may have some WordPress here installed. Let's see. How are we going to find out? Well, we're going to take the public IP. I'm going to try and access the 80 port. And it looked like it worked. So we have a fresh WordPress installation from vanilla Ubuntu just by using Upstage node definition. So we can see here probably that oops. Ah. Well, some key layout is not properly in place. Okay, we see here in Chef the node that allowed us to install the WordPress. So everything worked as expected. This is nice. Okay, let's take a look at the service created with Upflow. So we see here that we have all the service running, right? So we can check it out here as well. You go to virtual machines. All of the services are running, the master and the two slaves. One of them is running on a VMware host. We can VNC into it. Okay, and we see here that the TTY Linux just launched correctly. This is good. So I have actually not installed any web server software in this TTY Linux, but for the demo purpose, it gives you an idea of how this might work. And we also see the slaves that are running on the CentOS machine, and we also have VNC access to them. Okay, perfect. So both machines launched correctly. Okay, so this is basically the overview I wanted to give on the OpenNebula apps. We see there's 3 different components. One of them allows you to manage services as a single entity. The other one allows you to create environments in a virtual machine. So the ability to install a software stack in the virtual machine through a web UE, which is always interesting. And also the ability to create your own in-house marketplace. And we've seen how this integrates neatly with Sandstone and how I can create different virtual machines from a higher level view, meaning from something that abstracts the information from OpenNebula, allows you to create services using these building blocks. Thank you. Thanks for the clapping. Okay, so just to summarize, oops, too fast. Okay, if you want to try this out, just remember that you have a trial account available to you if you want. It's for 1 month. It will give you access to C12G support portal, and also it will give you access to the OpenNebula apps. You can download them, install them, and start creating services and environments, and also create your own market in a breeze. Okay. Okay. No, I haven't. Sorry. I just have this question. Any example of creating appliance in app market? No, I don't have any examples of that. It's empty as you see. But there's a guide on creating appliances for the OpenNebula market. Basically, what you have to do is to contextualize the image for OpenNebula, and then you are good to go. You can upload it to either the sorry, the marketplace. Here you can ask for an account in this public marketplace, or if you have it in house, you can basically use the app market server to upload images. I'm sorry I didn't include that in the demo. Maybe we'll do another webinar for the app market if you think it's interesting. Okay, so there's another question by Dimitri: how to get information about our APIs? Um, we haven't completed the development documentation, but when it's done, it should be accessible from the docs.OpenNebula.pro documentation. So probably be an extra configuration. I mean, an extra. Oh, well, you have an AP reference here. It's not completed, and in reference guide, well, you have the command line interface reference. But before we release the first version, this remember is a technology preview. We'll make sure that the API reference will be accessible through here. The JSON that I used for the to create the WordPress, it's taken from the chef site, but I took it. We just put it here to show an example in the Upstage documentation. You can see here that is the WordPress example. I just copied this. Okay, so Nikolai asks if it's possible to add more RAM core disk space to a virtual server with the app on the fly. Okay, it's a good question. The answer is that you are able to add disks, do hot plugging on a virtual machine at any time. It will be supported for Shen, KVM, and VMware. But at the moment, we don't do vertical escalation, meaning that you cannot add RAM or CPUs on the fly. RAM will be a bit easier, but CPU, I'm afraid that most of the guest OS won't be prepared to cope with that. Okay, Arash is asking how does auto-scaling work with OpenNebula apps? So auto-scaling is not really included in the OpenNebula apps functionality. You will need an extra component, basically something that it's able to monitor your service and seeing when scaling is needed, either to add nodes or remove them. And this is something that surely will be addressed in future versions of the OpenNebula apps, but not in this technology preview. Okay. So Camille is asking about CD-ROM images hot plugging. Yes, it's entirely possible. You can add ISO images or cookout images or basically whatever image you are able to register on a data store. Okay. So Andre is asking how does live migration work with our new products? Well, it works seamlessly because at the end of the day, live migration is handled by OpenNebula. So if your infrastructure is configured for handling live migration, meaning you have some sort of shared file system between the nodes, live migration will be working seamlessly with the OpenNebula apps. Okay, so yeah, just remember that you can order the, ask for the trial account. We'll create that for you, and you'll have a month to try out these new apps to see if there are any use to you. Okay, you have any questions or any more questions? It's a number of languages. translated for Sandstone, which is nice. So Ahmad is asking if there's any hints to some third party that could help monitor and trigger scaling on load balancing. Well, there's a lot of products, and all of them can integrate easily with OpenNebula because it provides information about key performance indicators about the machines and the host they are running on. So it'll be a really easy integration if someone is up to the task. I mean, we have done some proof of concept works, and it's definitely the next line of work. So Arash is asking if Tomcats is also supported, and the answer to this is yes. I mean, everything that is supported by, in this case, chef recipes can be installed using Upstage. So, and in the future we will include support, I'm sure, for Puppet and CF Engine. So the answer is practically every single piece of software out there that will be, well, not everything, but probably the most relevant ones will be able to be used through this Upstage app. So yeah, any language and web framework is supported definitely. So Nicola is asking if it's possible to install apps on top of Windows OS. That's a very good question, and the answer right now is that it's not possible because we haven't. Well, I'm particularly not even sure if Chef can be used in Windows. Probably the answer is no. We have to do a bit of research on other products that provide a similar functionality. So Amod, yes, definitely. Send me an email with any query you have, and I'll be happy to answer it. So Bupendra is asking me if I can help you creating virtual machine dynamically using Java. Definitely, you can download the Java bindings for the OpenNebula Cloud API. It will come with examples, so it will be, I think, straightforward to create a dynamically virtual machine deployment tool. Sure, I'm at my email. I can probably put it somewhere like here, for instance. So this is my email, cbatquez@c12g.com. Feel free to send me any doubts or queries you may have. Welcome. Okay, so any more questions? I can show that I'm not lying. Let's see if Okay, thanks everyone for coming. It's been really nice to have a webinar with this amount of feedback. So thank you very much for um, attending the webinar, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.